In this episode, Craig talks about one of his favorite everyday carry tools, the small fixed blade knife.
Hey guys, Craig Douglas here from Shivworks on Trigger Time TV to talk to you today about the viability of incorporating a small fixed blade knife into your daily carry. Now, why would you want to do this? A lot of times in confined, crowded space, we may not be able to get that handgun out. A lot of times it's just too much to get out of the holster. You may have a lot of body pressure. This is where these small tools really come into their own. Fundamentally, I think of the knife as a space maker, a way to get a little bit of distance so I can escape, or ideally to get something better. So, small fixed blade knives. I have a variety here on the table here that I'd like to talk to you about, but one thing you'll see is a common theme, and that's the overall footprint on most of these knives are about the same, and typically that's anywhere from 5.5 to about 8 inches at the most. So there's not a lot of blade there that we're using. When we set these things up, we want to set them up where they're readily available and they're easily drawn. Usually what that means is set up like I'm wearing these trainers now, forward of the hip points. So if you notice, there's nothing behind the hip point. It's forward of the hip points. And the reason we want to do that is because under body pressure, I don't want to retract my arm and possibly get underhooked or wrist tied or something like that. There's a lot of hand fighting going on. His hand may be on yours as you're trying to draw something. So we want something where we can keep our elbows in and maximize leverage and maximize torso strength. So most of the time when we draw, we're keeping our elbows in real tight. Think about somebody being on top of you when you do this. So forward of the hip points. The other thing we want to think about when we set these knives up for success to draw is we want to have maximum grip strength and maximum dexterity. So what that means is we want to think about keeping the hand and the forearm neutral and not breaking the wrist when we draw. Okay, so right now I've got this knife on my right, this trainer set up where the handle is up. So what that usually indicates is a pinky side or reverse grip draw versus breaking my wrist and trying to get the small knife out this way. If you notice, when we compare a knife and a handgun, guys, there's not a lot of material to grab here compared to here. So while you'll hear some people say knives are faster than guns, in my experience doing pressure testing, that's really not true. What I do see are a lot more dropped knives than I do dropped handguns, simply because there's not a lot of material to grab here, and there's usually a lot of hand fighting and pressure going on. So set these up for success. The positions I recommend for carriage are a vertical orientation, kind of like I'm carrying now. I also like a downward diagonal orientation as I have with the Shivworks clinch pick. The reason I like this, and this was specifically designed to fight in a car, is that I don't have to clear the cover garment up. I can snake my hand up underneath the cover garment and basically get the point indexed on him and turn my hips into him. So it's a great space maker. You don't have to spend a lot of money on knives, but I've got some nice customs here. I've got a Joe Watson Magni. I've got a Tracker Dan Guadagna, very nice blade. I've got a carbon fiber and titanium knife from Ian Wendt. And I've got the original Shivworks Disciple, just like so. So again, they're all about approximately the same size here, anywhere from 5.5 to 8 inches overall, forward of the hip points, and set those up ideally in a vertical carriage, a downward diagonal carriage. Some people can get away with a horizontal orientation, okay, and the knife is available to either hand that way. That doesn't work real well for me though, and tends to protrude. So I'm Craig Douglas. This is Shivworks. This is Trigger Time TV. Thanks for watching.